As a latecomer to Instagram, there's no shortage of material that I'm fresh to. However, one recently stood out. The narrator urges the viewer to not tell children that they can do anything or be anything, because the likelihood of the individual dishing out that advice having actually achieved everything that they could, or living up to their maximum potential and doing everything, as the advice goes, whatever that is practically zero. So telling a child that they can be anything they want, that they're perfect, is the wrong thing to do. Anyone who's had kids knows full well there are things they wish they didn't do, and that there are areas for improvement that anyone, including you, and especially you as a parent, could work on. And perhaps a good way to think of it is this. What is it that you could fix in your life? What is it you're doing today that if you sat deeply and thought about quietly and asked yourself, what could I do today that's stupid that I could eradicate? And if I eradicated that, if I just buried my pride for 10 seconds and got on with it and stopped doing that, then what would improve? And answers will come straight out of the ether into your mind's eye, and it will be obvious to you immediately what it is that you should be doing. And guess what? If they're obvious to you, they're probably obvious to other people. And so that's why it's admirable when you see people who are constantly working on themselves, because it's a virtue. It's a sign of a virtuous heart. It's a sign that this person is trying their best to align themselves as optimally as they possibly can. And if they can get themselves squared away, then the odds are that they'll be better husbands, better fathers, better mothers, better sons, daughters, etc., and this goes on. And you can actually, that's a powerful wave of positive energy, and you can broadcast that quite naturally into the universe, and for all that implies. And it's something that people can look to and think, oh, okay, well, maybe this guy's got something going on for them. Maybe this person is, perhaps a bit more well-adjusted than I am. And maybe if I try and emulate some of that, then I might actually learn something. And I thought this was a very powerful little video. It's very short, as they are on Instagram. And the video was very neatly cut and interspliced with children trying to copy their parents, doing things like jogging and lifting weights. And I think that's fantastic. I've got a son, I'm going to be teaching him how to do martial arts. And my martial art of choice is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, because I don't think there are many better ones than that, to be totally frank. I think if you learn how to strike, then that's great. If you learn how to grapple, that's even better. If you learn how to do both, then, well, you're unstoppable. And I think that's a really good thing to do. And so this video was very powerful for me, and it really, really resonated with me. I see Jiu-Jitsu as being one of the great unlocking devices that we have, and it's a remarkable force for good. And I highly encourage anyone to take it up. Just go once. If you go to a gym and you lift weights and you're a bit embarrassed, then maybe try a martial art, any martial art, but especially Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu from a good school. You will be astounded and blown away at how much it can build you up and raise your confidence floor, and it can make you feel powerful, actually, which is a great thing. It's a great feeling. It's a great encouragement, and people don't need very much encouragement, and so the more of that you can get, the better. There's a great speech in Fight Club, which we all remember, those who have seen Fight Club, when Tyler Durden's in the basement and he's issuing that warning to the newcomers that I see a lot of new faces here, so it means you guys are breaking the rule. One of the things that he goes on to say is many men in particular are struggling and reaching out against, trying to push back against this sense of modernity, this sense of, you're supposed to be weak. You're supposed to be weak. And that's good. And you're supposed to excuse the fact that you don't do a lot of exercise, and that's supposed to be a virtue. It's not a virtue. It's wrong. It's completely wrong. It's the wrong thing to do. And it's funny, if you replace a few words in that speech, you can very quickly update it and realize how truthful it is. And so here it is. Man, I see in Jiu-Jitsu the strongest and smartest men who have ever lived. I see all this potential, and I see it squandered. God damn, an entire generation, jobless, protesting, slaves with white guilt. Instagram has us chasing cars and clothes, working jobs that we hate so we can buy shit that we don't need. We're the middle children of history. Man, no purpose or place. We have no great war, no great depression. Our great war is a spiritual war. Our great depression is our lives. We've all been raised by YouTube to believe that one day we'll all be millionaires and movie gods and rock stars. But we won't. And we're slowly learning that fact. And we're very, very pissed off. I think it's a great speech. And I think if you just update those few words in there, you can bring it up to the 21st century. Not that you really need to be honest. The original stands on its own perfectly well. But it's funny, if you just replace those little elements, it all locks in. And you suddenly realise, yeah, this is that bitterness that creeps in. This is the shadow that, if you don't fully incorporate, turns into darkness and turns into a black spot on your heart and will ruin your life and others around you. And so it's very important that we pay attention to that. Very important.